I'd like to welcome everyone to the conversation where we talk about everything Cowboys. My favorite team, your favorite team, America's team. Here with your host, Coach Marv.
Good afternoon, my people. Good afternoon to Cowboy fans and fans all over, man. We're here on a Sunday. Not Sunday, on a Friday. Coming up to the end of the month, man. Welcome for all the people that's popping in, man. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show. Gonna do a very unpopular show. I hope my Cowboy fans stay with me. We're going to talk about some things that's going to deal with our Cowboys, but we're going to talk about, as my title says, life in sports. Life sports, the distractions, things that we need to, I hope our Cowboy team can avoid, but it's a microcosm of how the society is these days and how things are getting so that is it stuff that teams are gonna have to deal with now. Teams are gonna have to deal with it. Organizations are gonna have to deal with it. And it's the pressures of life and the magnitude of how society's gotten, and it's gonna affect our teams. The issue that brought up this topic today is the thing that's going on with one of our rivals, the New York Giants, and the quarterback and his beliefs of following the President Trump, and one of the the great that I'm not saying great, that outside linebacker, one of the first round draft picks from last year, having a disagreement with that. But Mr. Jameis Winston, I just saw on Twitter when Mr. Jameis Winston was talking about that, and man, a lot of people talk about Jameis Winston, man, but Jameis Winston, thank you, man, for coming in, man. I really appreciate you, man. Good. I'm glad. See, since you hit that subscribe button, and that means now you're gonna be able to catch me when I go live, man. I appreciate you. I'm glad you came in and joined the chat, man, and joined my channel. As you see, if you go over my channel, you see that old Coach Marv got 240 something videos, man. So been out here in these streets trying to work, still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and trying to work on some other things as well, man. But thank you for coming into the show. In the first of next month, we're gonna have some leads of some T-shirts that we're gonna be selling, and we're gonna have I'm gonna have that stuff out there for people for where they can see the shirts and where they can try to order these shirts, man. Because all of these things gonna be inspirational. But getting back to what I was saying about Jameis Winston, and a lot of stuff he said was about learning history and not just neglecting that things have happened, not living in that time, living past that time, but understanding that it did happen. And if you don't talk about it and you don't realize it or you don't know anything about it, he mentioned something that I say a lot. Y'all hear me on my shows, I always talk about our Cowboy history. Well, that's the same way I reflect on when I'm talking about life in sports. My last show, I talked about the DNA of certain teams and their history as an organization and how they, get back to that history of their organization, how that makes them it usually works for them. Well, as I always said, sports is a microcosm of life. And not knowing our history, not our young people not knowing our history, our old people not reevaluating our history and understanding how things came about. I'm not saying live in history. I'm not saying live in those times. I'm not saying live, but you must understand it. Because if you don't understand it, it has a tendency to repeat itself. As I always said, man, and this is probably gonna be on a t-shirt of mine. History can either teach you some great things, or it can hide flaws that will continue to happen over and over and over again. When we start to look back and see situations like we see in the in the in the Giants locker room, and that's not saying that that's not being in the locker rooms. It's just publicized now. That's everybody knows locker rooms. Everybody in the locker room don't like each other. You have to learn how to deal with each other, but no, everybody don't like each other. Now you have some locker rooms that you have majority of people that get along well, but you have and then it's basically what type of fractions or cooks you got in the locker room that could either be disruptive. Some could be healthy. I'm gonna explain that. Some differences can be healthy. Some differences too much can be disruptive. It's depending on what the people that's having the problem. It's a lot, but it's never perfect in a locker room. It's never perfect in no families. Like I said, it's a microcosm of life. There's no perfect family. If you get all of them together, I ain't just talking about just in that household. I'm talking about all the cousins, the aunts, and the uncles, and the great aunts, and it's not perfect. It's not perfect in nobody's church. When you get all the members, yeah, you may be talking about. I ain't talking about no. It's not even perfect on in the different ministries on church. There's nothing perfect. Now, when you got human people, human beings with minds and thinking, and everybody that's in it done fell short, because we all don't fell short. So when you got imperfect people together in any big group, it's not going to be perfect. How can imperfect people make a perfect group? But that doesn't mean it cannot be worked and done and be dealt with. So yes, in a locker room, in a football locker room, there's always struggles. I said sometimes it can be good. Yeah, this situation in New York can turn out to be good because now it starts a dialogue. It starts a dialogue, and if it's handled the right way, mature individuals handle it. It can bring some unity if it's structured right. Now, if it's handled the wrong way, it can fester. If it's forgot about and act like it's not even exist, it can fester. And by the time it does come out, it can be totally catastrophic. Does Harbaugh like all this distractive energy in his first stint as the new head coach? Oh no. He'd rather be talking about football things. Could this same thing be in Dallas one day? It could. It's about distractions. And the team that I can't say the team that has the less, because all of the teams are gonna have distractions. But the teams that have the less damaging distractions, not self-inflicted distractions that they cause unnecessarily. The team that handles the distractions the best in the right way are going to be the teams that's going to benefit and play the best. Because I said the talent is between the best team and the worst team is very minimal when you talk about pros. But who can keep the focus and keep the main thing the main thing? So when Jameis Winston talked about the stuff that he was teaching his kids and how that brought these two guys together from two different, maybe they're going to come together from two different ways of thinking and environments. And he said, we don't have to, everything ain't got to be perfect and everybody ain't got to know how everything that goes along with it. What he's trying to do is deflect all the tension in that locker room and say that try to focus it on team. And say, these are just your teammates. And we got to get this done as a team, as a football team. But we have to understand and communicate with each other. He said, well, coach, man, why were we talking about this? Because distractions, I had a shoulder there, and it can seep in our locker room. But I also talk about this because I'm not worried about ratings. I'm not worried about if I get the 1,000 subscribers. I ain't worried about if everybody say Coach Marv has got one of the best YouTube channels. I ain't worried about somebody say in May the 29th, that Coach Marv ain't talking football. He ain't talking about what trade we gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some of that stuff because we just talking right now. But I'm not really worried about all that. What I'm worried about and what I like to understand is to be able to get to if I can talk to somebody out there and give them a word of some wisdom. Because we're in difficult times, people. We're in times where everybody is taking sides on one side or another. In our own families, there's rift in our own families that people are taking one side against the other. And they're taking sides fully. Where we are almost in civil wars in our own families. We are almost in civil wars at our jobs. We're almost at civil wars in our neighborhoods. We're almost at civil wars at sporting events. We're almost at civil wars in the Cowboy Nation fan base. And when I say civil war is when one country split down the middle. Supposed to be one country under God. But we split down the middle, and family members that was on the south and family members that they had that was in the north were blowing each other's heads off. Civil wars. When we go and look at other countries and we see people infighting, most of the harm things going now is friends fighting friends that have been together forever. This is the microcosm of what caused, yes, the stuff that happened in New York. I'm not saying I agree with either one, I'm not saying I'm politically going at the quarterback. I ain't politically going at the linebacker. I'm sorry. I'm not politically going at the linebacker. I'm not politically going at the quarterback on that team. I'm not politically going at neither one of those people. I'm talking about where we at that's causing this conflict and how it can seep into your own team and just how you try to stump it out when you're looking at your sports teams. It's the same way you need to take when you're trying to seep out that stuff coming in your own household, when it's coming into your own family union. Because this feeling of spirit of unrest and no unity was already documented in the Bible. And divided, we will fall. I remember I was telling somebody, and I was laughing because I'm old enough to, I grew up on good times. If anybody's out there in the chat that's maybe chatting with me, say, did y'all grow up with good, old enough with me to grow up with good times? But I grew up with good times. And I grew up with JJ and his boy Hoppo and Cool Breeze and said, together we stand, divided we fall, we tighten the pantyhose, two sides and small. Together, man, we can stand. Teams that's gonna be together. I remember talking to a friend, we were talking about this same craziness going on about the unrest in this country and how stuff is so everybody got to be on one side, and it's just like nobody agreeing with no one. There is no, if you talk about political stuff, there's no bipartisan no more. For them to say a bipartisan bill or bipartisan anything now is almost like that's like the plague. A group thing. That's not two people coming together and having a truce. People coming in have mediation and talks, coming to a agreement. All that's it's not even nobody talking about companies coming together and merging no more. Companies now go bankrupt before they merge with another company. It's crazy. Now laws don't even want you to merge with something so you can say that. I know if you want to even talk about it, Spirit Airlines supposed to, before Spirit went down, they supposed to have merged with JetBlue. If the government would have let them merge with JetBlue, or if it could have worked out, Spirit Airlines would have continued to go, and we still would have had, but it would have probably been a better situation for it. No, there's not. No, we can't do that. There's no mergers now. There's no. It's all about me, mine. That same selfishness and separate is bleeding into our sports. And teams, as I said about the locker room, teams that can't deal with that, teams that don't have direct great leadership, that don't have great leaders of men or great leaders of women, and teams that cannot deal with all the outside pulling forces of everybody going in directions. And does anybody care about team play now? Matter of fact, I watched the basketball team in the Thunder. We got people ripping the Thunder down, talking about their style of play because they're playing team ball. Yes, they got a guy they talking about flopping and all this stuff, but their essence of their game is physical together play. Everybody knowing their role. They don't like that. They want individualism. And if you say you coming together in anything and you're doing it together, the outside forces are gonna nitpick to try to tear you apart. Yes, it's tough. It's happening with our own Cowboy team. It's happening within our own Cowboy nation. We had an incident 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now. And instead of everybody realizing that somebody who was in the Cowboy nation was not who we thought he was, and that no one else had that was a part of that, we tried to destroy each other. And we started to get to the point of you need to take this side and you need to take that side. This is where we at. And it's tough, man. It's tough when you have a team. It's tough when you have a team. Yes, we're gonna talk about that. That's a great question. There, hold that question right there. It's tough when you have a team. It's tough, man, when you got a football team or you got a team of anybody these days. And we a team, but we separate. We together, but we one minded. Somebody say one minded. Oh, that means because you mean one minded together. No. That means you got your mind, I got my mind. We don't agree about anything. This world has become a push and pull world. You either one side of the rope or the other side. There is no everybody it's a tone being set that if something go wrong, it's the other people. And if it goes right, it's me. There's nothing together, no togetherness. And that temperament flows down and it flows into our sports teams. Yes. Yeah. Listen to this statement right here. I'm gonna get to some of these other things, man, and I appreciate y'all coming in and making comments. But we're gonna talk about this subject gonna lead into football. Yeah. Look at this right here. See that there on the what? I need to move that to the. I wish I could move that to the center. But um, this right here is right there that I put in the part right there. That in the chat right there. That's true. We're about to run into some distractions on our own team. I don't even think we see it. We got people out there talking about should we pay CD Lamb? I mean, pay Pickens and him getting the contract, and if he holds out, but we don't understand that the distractions, if he doesn't play, if he doesn't get a contract, or if he gets a contract and he gets more money than CD Lamb, yeah, people think that that'll be okay. And it could be. But CeeDee Lamb is going to get the most targets. CeeDee Lamb got more opportunity to get more catches because he can do more. But guess what's going to happen? We're going to pit CD and Pickens together. This fan base is going to pit CD and Pickens against each other. How is that going to help us win a championship? Some people want to frame it off as competition. I don't think, I know we heard a lot what Michael Irvin said, and I'm not saying I agree with everything what Michael Irvin said, but one thing Michael Irvin said, and I don't think y'all picked up on that. He said you're going to have to do it together, and they're going to have to ride or die. And you can't ride or die being in competition with each other. See, that's healthy competition. But when you start that, this fan base, this outside media, it's gonna make it overwhelming. They're gonna start counting every target everybody gets. They're gonna make shows talk about targets. Yes. They're gonna make shows talk about who got the targets. They're gonna make shows showing who ran what pattern and who was open when the ball should have went here. And we think that that's going to be healthy for Dak Prescott and this team. It's going to tear it down to destroy it. It's going to tear it down and destroy it. And they're going to do it on the premises of trying to be right. But that's the temperament of the world today. Whose side are you on? That's crazy, man. And the Giants are going through that right now. And the only way that they're going to be, and I'm not saying because I'm not saying because I love the Giants. I'm just saying that at Harbaugh is going to teach him how to be if he's a leader of men. If he's a leader of men, he's going to understand how to be able to keep this to a point where it can build and not tear down. See, leaders of men promote calmness, confidence, unity. Not erratic, not scared, not nervousness, not individuality. So if you're going to be a real leader of men, you got to really lead your men with all the differences you got. I done been in a lot of locker rooms. I done played football. I done been with as much as when I was at Nova State, we had 120. I've coached some locker rooms where we had 40, some we had 20. I don't care if we had 26. I don't care if we had 106. Everybody in the locker room ain't never always liked each other. But the locker rooms that got along the best and understood the differences, but respected each other, were the best football teams I played on. When I did get in the locker room that had the same amount of talent, and we had a fraction in our locker room where people started distrusting each other, and the wedge or the distractions, the differences in the locker room was just unbearable. And we had just as much talent or more. We had our worst season ever. Distractions would kill talent. If y'all don't believe it, look at some of the greatest players that you see in some of and how they fail. They ain't failed because they weren't talented. They fail because they lost focus, distractions. You want to kill distractions, get more focus. You want to kill focus on things you need to do, allow distractions. And in this world today, as somebody like that, as my great friend Miss Angela, and y'all hope y'all still going out and support Angela. She was on the show with her vegan thing because I think y'all should go out and support that. But she said something. This ain't nothing new. This has been happening, but it's magnified now. Because we hearing it over and over. And I always say, man, some people say, well, coach, president, leaders, I don't care. If you're supposed to be the leader of this country, your temperament flows downhill. And that's point blank. So the Giants, the Giants are dealing with some stuff, but I just wanted to make sure y'all understand this CeeDee Lamb thing, this George Pickens thing. Yeah, it could seep right in your own locker room. And you know who pushing the narrative about CeeDee Lamb and Pickens and about Pickens need a contract and all that? No one pushing that narrative. See, what's crazy to me is people who are pushing that narrative and the outside media that keep talking about that, they don't give a damn if Pickens get paid or not. They want a distraction. They want to say if he get a contract, he got lowballed. Or they want to say if he got a contract, he's the new number one wide receiver now. It's a bad situation. I'm not blaming Pickens for his disagreement. Maybe he have a minute holdout. I'm not disagreeing with that. I can't. And I'm not gonna go back and forth with a lot of Cowboy fans saying that who's better. My belief is CeeDee Lamb is better. I hear people say, and I'm not trying to go at nobody, but who's hot? No, is it who hot or who's popular right now? See, you can get in trouble trying to go what the fans trying to tell you to do. I always learned about that. I learned about the football team. The greatest coaches, the winning teams, they go what's best for their football team. Because they understand the fans, at the end of the day, when we got W's up and we put championships up, they'll be happy with what we did. But trying to appease them will get you fired. See, Jared and them trying to appease them. But see, that's what we get in trouble. I try to tell people. Jared them, they say, oh, Jared them always think about what the fans. That's why I think Jared them ain't coaches. And that's when Jared don't make their mistakes. We're gonna talk about that too. We got Cowboy fans out here thinking that get Myles Garrett and trade the whole farm. You get Myles Garrett, trade the whole farm, you probably gonna put yourself in a situation where you probably not win another Super Bowl for another 15 years. And you're going to get Myles Garrett, do all that, do Myles Garrett stuff just to say we got Myles Garrett. And I don't think none of this is about winning. This is about saying we got the bling. So we can go out and tell people that we got Myles Garrett. That's all that's about. That's what we do. So we can have a talking point with other fans say, oh, we got Myles Garrett now. We don't care if that win no games. That's the bling. That's just like that person walking outside and said, man, I got Prada, or I got Louis Vuitton. They don't care if the whole thing together. They don't even care if they got them a house or they got everything. No. They got that stuff that said I got Louis Vuitton. There's 32 other teams in the NFL. Some teams have got very good teams that probably could give up half of what some people are asking that we're promoting, that we're trying to trading to get Myles Garrett. Yeah. And they not pulling the trigger. But we can think we can pull the trigger and that's gonna put us over the top. I never understood it. We got people say we'll give up 3 first-round draft picks. I think I've just seen somebody in the chat say three first-round draft picks plus Tyler Smith. Then I got some people that talked to me today and said, man, did we get Charles Henry? We traded to get Charles Henry? Do you know what they gave him to get Charles Henry? I think it was a 3rd-round pick. No player, just a 3rd-round pick. Yeah, can I tell y'all something about Charles Henry? Charles Henry's best years was in San Francisco. Yeah, that's when he was MVP. I think he averaged about 14 sacks a year. I don't think he got more than 10 sacks a year in Dallas. I ain't saying he wasn't productive. And he dealt with a major back injury the most time he was with Dallas. He missed a lot of games. Yeah, his back was really bad. That's one of the reasons San Francisco traded him, because they knew that he had a back injury and that he was not going to be able to get, but he came to a Dallas Cowboy team that was loaded already, that he didn't have to play every down, and we still were going to win. Yeah. Charles will tell you that. Charles will tell you that if he didn't play, we probably still would have won the Super Bowl. He enhanced us, but he came to a team that was loaded with young talent, with guys that had to make their names. See, Darren Woodson wasn't no name. James Washington wasn't no name. Kevin Smith wasn't no name. The linebackers at Dallas wasn't no name, because none of them made Pro Bowl the first Super Bowl we made. None of our defensive players made the Pro Bowl. Not even Charles Haley in his first year. And we had the #1 defense in the league. So y'all telling me now that we need to go throw the whole farm. to get Myles Garrett. As I said before, man. No, when Charles Haley first got there, he practiced. Yes, sir. At the end, he did practice. Let me retract that. Charles Haley practiced when he was with Jimmy Johnson. He practiced much less and almost not at all under Barry Switzer. That's when the back injuries even got better. He was in the grind when he was Jimmy Johnson. See, it wasn't, listen, they did Oklahoma drills and Emmitt Smith was in the Oklahoma drills. See, you can't get to the mountaintop by saying, I hear people saying, oh, we got these good players, we let them sit down and rest. See, one thing about championship teams, they outwork everybody. That's how they become champions. See, where we get a mistake is we get hype, and then the hype say we need to rest and because we got these guys, we gonna need to rest, and we try to get the championship by resting because we saving people. Championship teams say, I ain't trying to save nobody. I'm trying to get everything I can get out of the team to get to the mountaintop and get it. I ain't worried about it. They go 10 years. But if I can get 5 years and 3 championships, I bet you they'll say I'm happy with them 5 years. But a lot of y'all want to play this long game. Oh man, let's keep it around so they grind 10 years and don't get no championship because they never reach their potential. Yeah. So you gotta work. Charles worked. See, Charles worked when he first got to Dallas because Charles alluded to that Dallas practiced much harder than San Francisco. San Francisco, once they got to be a championship team, they worked on precise and a lot of reps. When you got to Dallas, what Jimmy was trying to build here at Dallas was a Super Bowl mentality team. He had a bunch of guys on this team that didn't know how to get to the mountaintop. He had a bunch of guys on this team that had not have playoff experience. When he brought Charles here, Charles gave them a playoff experience. But Charles, if you go back in the documentary of Charles was an asshole when he got here. He challenged everybody because he understood what it took to get to being a champion. Because Charles was already a champion, but he understood you couldn't be nice and get there. You couldn't go there and it was going to just happen. You had to outwork everybody. You had to be smarter. You had to be on top of your game. This is what Charles Haley told. So think about it. Go back and look. When he went and got Nate Newton, him and Tony Tolbert went and got Nate Newton. He told Nate Newton that I watch you on film. They battled each other. He said, I watch you on film. At the first part of the year, you dominant. And after Thanksgiving, you start falling off because you gain weight and you're in this shape. So they got with Nate Newton and Tony Tolbert, and they got up and worked out every year, every morning. And then Nate started making Pro Bowls and dominating in the playoffs. These are the type of things that Charles Haley brought to the table. See, these are the type of things. See, Charles Haley, when he was at San Francisco, yeah, he did that. Yeah, he peed in the whole office and defecated on his desk. They got rid of Charles Haley because they said, okay, we don't want championship with Charles in San Francisco. They had won some championship. He had won some MVPs. They were like, hey man, we can move on. Yeah, won 2 championships with Charles. So they say, hey man, we done got enough. We tired of that. It's not like we ain't got no championship. Let's move on from that. Jimmy said, "What? Remember this documentary?" He said he asked some people, and they told him that Charles Hill was one of the smartest football players that were around. He knew football, and he said, "Could he be reasoned with?" He said, "Yeah." So when he got to Dallas, he did some crazy stuff in Dallas. But when it came to football, like I said about distraction, when it came to football, Charles was not a distraction. He was a galvanizer. Now, in the locker room, playing around, doing all kind of crazy stuff, yeah, that might have been a distraction. But when it came to winning time, when it came to doing your job, when it came to focusing on getting this job done and winning these games, you couldn't get no better teammate than Charles Hill. That's why I said earlier, and when I started this, there are certain distractions that are good. Then there's some the distractions that you can't tolerate. Some are what we call terminal distractions. Some are what we call surface distractions. But terminal distractions that getting people off the winning stuff, distractions that's about being by myself or being individuals and not team first. Distractions that pull team players to one side or another, and we don't gel when it's time to play. You got to get rid of them. You could take less talent, get rid of them, and still be better. Don't believe that the talent can outweigh the negative distractions. It can't. I have seen that. Y'all have seen it. Look through your history. You probably seen it in your own life. There has been people in your own family that could have been dominant in certain things, but the distractions have destroyed them. That's why I try to tell people. I think George Pickens can be a value the way we're going to probably use him in this offense. But if he becomes a distraction because he wants to be paid and it's all about him being paid, we can do better without him. Now, y'all come back and say, oh, I'm gonna give you two examples. Recent. And you're gonna say, well, Coach, that ain't the same. Well, Kansas City knew if they didn't give Tyreek Hill an extension and and kind of force him to take what they were offering without going any higher, without allowing him to have his own freedom to make the choice, and they would have locked him into Kansas City, they knew he'd have been a damn distraction. They decided to say, let's get rid of the distraction. Not saying that he was a bad person. They knew that that was going to be a problem. But they were stuck on what they wanted to pay him. So they allowed him to have his freedom and trade him. And it went two back-to-back Super Bowls. Did they do it in high-power fashion? No. They did it up. They were good enough to do it anyway. Example number two. Hassan Reddick. Y'all remember Hassan Reddick played for the somebody said AJ Brown, but y'all remember Hassan Reddick? Yeah, Ricky Waters, yeah. But y'all remember Hassan Reddick that played for the Eagles when he was, and people were comparing him about him being just as good as Michael Parsons because he had 12, 13 sacks and he was their leading sack guy. And after one season, Michael Parsons interviewed him because Hassan Reddick was that man, right? So you know the Hassan Reddick never won a Super Bowl with the Eagles? Because you know the year that they won the Super Bowl, they traded Hassan Reddick. because they wasn't willing to pay him. Everybody knew how great a talent he was, but they went with, and they didn't want the distraction on Dick Fangio off defense, and they ready to get rid of Hassan Reddick, their lead sack guy, at a young age, and to go without him, and they turn around and win the Super Bowl and have the number one defense. Could our Dallas Cowboy fans stomach doing that? Hell no. Because we act like, man, can't do it, man. We just got rid of him. Ain't no way we can do that. Nobody else can do nothing. We got rid of that guy. Not saying the player was bad, but the distraction, because we couldn't satisfy him and he wouldn't have been happy with what we was offering him. We're better off not having that. AJ Brown. AJ Brown right here. AJ Brown right there. AJ Brown. AJ Brown. We can't do what Philadelphia about to do. It'll be total chaos here. That's why that's why I say it's crazy in Dallas. They quietly shopping AJ Brown. And he is a great wide receiver. But the distractions is causing them more problems than his receiving ability. And guess what? They'll be better off when him go. And he might go somewhere and put up great numbers. But for us, he's going to cause distractions. What our all-time greats were saying, I don't give a damn about what Pickens get paid. What they were saying, at this team, to get to where they need to get to, either you all in to do it, to get to this team to where we want to get to, or we got to get rid of it. That's just point blank, man. Because if you're a real Cowboy fan and your thing is the winning number 6, you're like, man, listen, man. We hope, hey man, we hope the guy signed the guy to a long-term deal. But yeah, I understand, and I'm not worried about him, but he done made with 27 million, he done made $60 million in his life. Already. He got about 20 million, 17, 18 million from his first round deal. And he about to make another 27 million. And he gonna get paid. He win a Super Bowl, he gonna get paid. It might not be in Dallas. But if y'all are real, and see, a lot of people don't want to hear this. If he would have acted like he's supposed to act in Pittsburgh, this wouldn't be no case. He had been getting this. He had been the number one receiver in Pittsburgh. They would have not when they got no god doggone guy from the Seattle. He had been the guy in Pittsburgh. He would have got the big contract in Pittsburgh, and he would have been happy in Pittsburgh. And don't give me about the quarterback and all that. This here. That mistake cost him some time. But he's now in a very better situation. I'm not going to say he ain't. He's in it with a quarterback that when I go watch film on this quarterback, when I go watch film on Flournoy, when I watch on Stevie Lamb, and I go watch stuff on George Pickens, I've been going back and watching that stuff. Man, Dak Prescott made all these guys this year. Because these guys were getting tight window throws that you shouldn't even throw the ball, and Dak was fitting in areas for them just to catch it. He's in a great situation. But his agent I know. Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna say I know. I too strongly believe, his agent strongly believe that he's not gonna have another season of 1,400 yards. There ain't number one football. And if the defense is better, you ain't gonna have to score 35, 40 points. But he's not gonna get judged by no stats. He's gonna get judged about him being on a winning team. Y'all don't understand that? Guys getting paid that this was on a winning team, not even putting up great stats and asking for big contracts everywhere because they were a part of a winner. So Pickens, you want this a great season? Put in the same time and the same work or even more work and more time than you did last year. And they'll pay off. Put less work in and less time. It's winter time. And I understand where y'all coming from. But as fans, it's got to be about the wins, man. Let me share something with y'all right quick, man. I said I wasn't gonna be on 2 hours like I've been on here 2 hours in the past. But I thank y'all so much, people, man. Listen, let me hold up. Let me put this out. Let me put this out. I'm gonna say something. Somebody said something about Dak Prescott, right? And this is a very good comment. He's saying unless the quarterback is good, Pickens might have to leave. No, he's not going anywhere because Pickens. Let me explain something, man. I said this, and that leads into that, and it's not about your comment, but it leads into something else I'm about to say. I don't want Dak to be in the MVP race. MVP quarterbacks don't win Super Bowls. When guys start talking about quarterbacks going to be MVP, those guys use a runner-up. That's the runner-up's prize of the guys that win Super Bowls. If my quarterback got to be MVP stat-wise and got to be the total leader of the offense and got to have MVP-type numbers for us to be competitive and be a Super Bowl contender, then our defense, our team is lacking. And it's going to be almost impossible to win a Super Bowl. But if our quarterback can be very good and our team outstanding, because we don't have to have him to have a great game, but for us to win, watch out, NFL. We're knocking on the door in February to win a Super Bowl. That's running game, passing game, defense will win the game. And this is what I say about Dak Prescott. Some of y'all ain't gonna want to hear this. Dak Prescott, and I hate to get into people's personal lives, but Dak has been through some traumatic stuff this offseason. He needs his team more than ever to be able to carry this load for us to win a championship. And guess what he's got to be able to understand? He's got to understand that I got to allow them to carry the load, some of the load. I got to allow them to do it. I got to allow them. I got to go to offensive line. I got to go to our offensive line, our running back, and say, we got to have some games that we win this game by running the ball. We got to have some games that we're going to win this by defense, and we just got to be just good with the ball and not turn it over. There's going to be some games that we got to win with the others and not me. I got to allow my guys to stake their claim for them to be good. That's what champions teams do. That got to get out of that focus of saying, I got to prove to y'all that y'all wrong. Dak, you ain't got to prove no more. That's why I say, if Dak ever win a Super Bowl, if Dak was to win a Super Bowl this year, he might run by 3-4 off. Because if he ever get the feeling of, man, it don't have to all be about me to win the championship, and he allows somebody, and he proves that, climb that mountain, and then he don't feel like he got to climb that mountain to prove that. He ain't got to overdo to prove no more, but he can be him and just be very good and dominate in spots. Y'all, NFL better watch out. He got to get to that point. And you know who got to help him get to that point? Shotty, that's your job. Shotty, you got to get to your quarterback and say, hey, it's not all about you. Shotty, you got to get to this team and tell this team about who else is going to win these games. The whole world looking for it to be Dak. Who else is going to win these games? I hear some people talking on the great Vosh. I love Vosh. Vosh does some great stuff, man. But I disagree with him. I seen when he talking about if this defense could be 18th in scoring defense, we got a chance to contend. No, we don't. No, we don't. That's 18th in scoring when we playing mediocre defense offenses. But when we start playing the better offense, they're gonna score way more than that. And they're gonna stress our offense, we're gonna make our offense look inefficient. Because when you stress them, they're saying they start pressing. And when they start pressing, we get unbalanced, which makes us easier to defend. Because we're not comfortable. We're not in no flow. We pressing. For us to win, we need a dominating defense. And we should settle for nothing less. Because if we're not talking about being dominant on defense and defense being a weapon in Dallas, then we're just playing this game of, yeah, we'll be some very exciting games and we'll be around 10-7, 9-8, maybe 11-6, having a chance. This defense got the potential to be great. Nobody thought Seattle defense would be that good. And I would say, looking at our talent based off how their talent was looked at the year before, you don't think we got this much talent based off how they was looked at the year before they became what they were? It's all about playing together, doing what you think, and the mentality. You got enough talent, but you got to bring it together, and you got to have the mentality that you're gonna be good. Yes, when you talk about Pickens, yeah, he ain't gonna go nowhere. But I don't want him to depend on the quarterback. I don't want Dak to win MVP. I want Dak to be very good. I want to see who's going to take the mantra off of Dak. I'm looking for a team that says when people ask them about you got a franchise quarterback or they like to ask that question about Dak. I'm looking for the defense, the players that say, man, damn Dak. It ain't about Dak. It's about us. That's what they said about the Seattle quarterback. When people try to ask them about the Seattle quarterback, is he going to be able to, notice the player said? He's good enough to do what we need to do. When they talk about Dom, they talk about say it's about us. They took the pressure off their quarterback. They said you just be good, very good, and we're gonna be exceptional because we all gonna lift the trophy up at the end and kiss it. All 70 of us, 55 on the regular roster and the practice squad guys, and about another 20 coaches and another 30, 40 front office people. We all gonna get a touch the trophy. It ain't all about you, Dak. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who's gonna be that? Who's gonna step up and say that? That's why I'm waiting on my defensive coordinator to say that. I'm waiting on my defensive coordinator, and I wish he could hear this. I'm waiting on, and I said this in another show, and I'm gonna go back again. Share this if you share it on Twitter. Share it at Dallas Cowboys and at Dallas Cowboys because I think that's what if anybody if you on this and you on a Twitter page with Kristen Parker, share this with Kristen Parker and tell him in this show at the hour mark that Coach Marv had a message to Kristen Parker and that he needs to listen to. Here's your lesson. Here's your message, Mr. Kristen Parker. I don't want no just to get by damn defense. If you ain't coming here to be the best damn defense in the NFL and a dominating defense and defense being a weapon in Dallas and people fearing this defense, then you should have not took the job. This team needs to be led by the defense. If you come in here, Kristen Parker, and this your first time getting in Dallas, you don't know no history about Dallas, go back and do your history lesson about the DNA of the Dallas Cowboys. And when you go back, Kristen Parker, to find the DNA of the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to find out that we ain't never won jack without a dominating defense. Yeah, we had the triplets. Yeah, we had the other triplets with Staubach and Dorsett and Drew Pearson and Tony Hill and the great offensive line and Robin Newhouse. And then we had Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith and the great offensive line. But in the big games, defense dominated. If you want to know something, Kristen Parker, go back and see there only been 9 defensive MVPs in Super Bowls. We got 4 of them. We got 2 in one game. We got the only defensive MVP on the team that lost. The DNA of this team right here is a dominating defense. So, Kristen Parker, if you come in here and your staff coming in here not to be dominant, and you're not going to preach dominance, you're not going to come in training camp and tell the team this, we don't give a damn of what Pickens or CeeDee Lamb do. They ain't got to be on this team. We still going to win. That's what defensive coordinator I need here. That's what we need as a Cowboy Nation. We need to have a defensive coordinator that got that arrogance to make our offense better every day in practice. Bust their ass every day. Because they're already walking in, the offense is already walking in with the head all big, walking around like this. The head big. That's what I need, Christian Parker. And if anybody can get that inside that room, get it inside the room. And let me share this one thing, this screen right here, because I need y'all to share when this part right here comes up. I need y'all to share this part when this comes up. It's gonna come on the screen in a minute. This is what we need. If Mr. Parker, if you're watching this, if somebody can share this to Mr. Parker, Mr. Christian Parker, the guy that I really think is a great defense, going to be a great defense coordinator, like his staff and everything. If this is not what you come to be in Dallas, for this defense to be the weapon for this year, then we need another guy. Because the DNA of Dallas says defense must be a weapon for us to win Super Bowls. I don't need George Pickens if I got a dominating defense. Seattle won it. They had one wide receiver that was good, and their quarterback is mediocre. And their running backs, people ain't know the running back was good until this year. And they won a Super Bowl. And they was first in the division. They didn't win it by second half chance. They was the best team in the NFC and won the Super Dominant. We could do the exact same thing here. But defense has to be a weapon in Dallas. And if that's not what you're trying to do, Christian Parker, then you failing the Cowboys. And I need you to walk with confidence and swagger. This defense need to have swagger. Last year, defense had no swagger. We ain't had no confidence. I've said it 1,000 times on my shows. Every time I say, man, this team ain't got no confidence. Defense ain't got no confidence. They walk around like they don't even know what's going on. Nobody didn't know what's going on because they had no confidence. They was riding on the coattails of what the offense was going to do. I don't care about the offense. You want to make this offense better? Let's make this defense a weapon. That's what you got to do for me, Christian Parker. If you want this, if that's what you came here for, that's the message I want to get across to you. And Shotty, if you think your offense is so great, it's going to be, I want you to go against a defense every week, every day in practice that's going to embarrass you. So when you go out there in the games, you ain't got to worry about you being overpassing. You're going to be physical because you can say, I can be patient because I got some dogs on the other side. That's what I need. And if y'all Cowboy Nation ain't rocking with that, y'all think we're going to rock it with throwing 42 wide receivers with 3,000, 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns, and we think that that's going to win a Super Bowl, it's going to be very exciting. But I ask to be home probably in the first round of the damn playoff if we make the playoffs. I've seen that storyline before. On my screen here, I had Mr. Dan Rogers had a post here. I said I wanted to show some stuff off Twitter. And I said I was going to talk about this. And I reposted it. I reposted it because I said I wanted to talk about this. He said, Mr. Rogers said, Dan Rogers said, the Cowboys had finished in the bottom 10 in turnover differential each of the last 2 seasons. And if you want to return to the playoffs, we must win the turnover ratio differential. here's the last 20 years. And he's right. Turnover ratio is very important. And if you look at it in the 20 years, if you go in year where he got it highlighted here, we were -6 in differential in 2024 and a -9 in 2025. And we ranked 24th and 29th in the league. And we only had 7 wins. We turned the ball over 24 times. We only took the ball away 18 times in 24. We only took the ball away 12 times last year. And we only turned the ball over 21 times. We turned the ball over 21 times. So if you look at it, no, we got players. We think we need star players. We need all the star players. I say this. I see that comment say we need players. I guarantee you, going into last year, no one thought that New England had enough players, or no one thought that Seattle players was good enough to win a Super Bowl. They didn't. Some people ain't know none of their names. They know their names now, don't they? Some of y'all wouldn't even talk about JSN as one of the best wide receivers. And some people say, "Oh, he got Donald there quarterback. He's gonna fall off." Some ain't know that the running back was good. But point differential, yeah, and see all these things, yeah, and the years. Let's look at the years that we did well. We won 12 games. When we was up here winning 12 games for like 3-4 years in a row. 13 wins, 13 wins. All these years right here, we just wasted some stuff, man. At 21, we wasted on 12 wins. Look at the point differential. We were first. In 21, we were first in turnover differential. We had 34 turnovers we got, and we only turned the ball over 20. Then we had another time we was fifth in the league in differential. That was 2016. 2007, we was third in the league. We had 13. So all the years we win a lot of games, we were very high. We was plus in the point differential, and we ranked very high in those years that we're. And you say, okay, except for these 2 years, we won 10, 11, but that's kind of mediocre in the middle. So that is very key. That's a very good stat. But let's look at my post. My post said, that's an interesting. I said, I'll dig into these the next time we're on the live show. And I went another live show and I didn't talk about it. What factors helping in turnover differential? So what's some of the factors that help in turnover differential? If anybody in the chat, somebody put something in the chat. What factors have if point differential if point differential is key in winning, what factors go into point differential? Anybody know what? Anybody give me one factor that goes in for your team, turn the ball over less and get more turnovers? What's one of the factors that can help your team not turn the ball over and get more turnovers? If you're in the chat, y'all making comments, let's participate in this. Somebody give me something that they think is one factor that can help you get a good turnover differential. Somebody put in there. Somebody put in there something that they think that can help get a point differential. Anybody got any more film? Okay, more film, more work. Run the ball. Okay, that's another one. Anybody else? Those two comments about more film, that you say being more watching more film can help us get more turnovers and stay away from turnovers. Some people say run the ball. That can help us from not turning the ball over and maybe control the clock. Stop on third down, right? Learned that in middle school. Okay. All right. All three of them are good, but let me give you some that let me give you the main factor. Main factor of getting turnovers, right? And the main factor of not getting turnovers. When you're talking about being protected with the ball, but when you were talking about taking the ball away, you must have a physical defense. Physicality causes turnovers. It causes interceptions. It causes teams to speed up. But non-physical defenses don't get turnovers. You're taught for that from day one. You're putting pads on people. You're playing in an aggressive manner. You cause turnovers. When you watch basketball, the teams that play the more physical defense, putting their hand, checking, making sure they always in a physical mode. They're usually the teams that turn people over the most. That physical nature is how you get it. Now, I can tell you why we didn't get to be a turnover. Denver Richard was not in our favor the last 2 years because we were one of the most unphysical defenses in the NFL. I can guarantee you last year. Second thing, what about on offense where you can stop turning the ball over? Yes, you have to be strong with the ball. Most times, teams that have a physical nature don't turn the ball over. Some people put in there running the ball, managing the clock. But see, what made us turn the ball over a little bit more is because we start pressing. Remember I just talked about that? I said, when we got to get into a point where we got to score 40 points, it's going to take away from our offense because we're going to go to the point that we're pressing, that we're uncomfortable. Those cause turnovers. If you're managing the game and you're in control of the tempo, you usually don't turn the ball over as much. So the first thing that you're going to mention, if you look at some of the teams that have been a perennially great turnover teams, I bet you they say that one of their first characteristics is their physical team. The second characteristic, they're mentally tough and they understand about protecting the ball and getting the ball. They're disciplined in how they protect the ball. Look at our teams. I guarantee you those characteristics I just mentioned, you didn't see that in last year's team. Matter of fact, it was non-existent in last year's team. Physicality, strong with the ball, and our offense was pressing every week because we're trying to keep up a pace because we didn't trust the defense. And all those caused for you to be almost last in turnover differential. Guess what? Coaches talk about these same things behind closed doors when they're talking about turnover differential. The first thing they mentioned when they mentioned the defense and we trying to get the ball, they said we got to be stronger. We got to attack the ball. We got to be a more physical defense. We're going to cause more turnovers if we're pressing them. we're putting pressure on them, not only physically, but with our speed. We're playing fast and physical. We're going to put pressure on them. And what did they say about pressure when it does to pipes? Pressure busts pipes. Busting pipes is the turnovers. Some of those turnovers are going to turn into big time turnovers. But if you're not physical, you're not playing with speed, you're not being the aggressor, and they're being the aggressor on you, you ain't gonna get no turnovers. Remember, I said this all last year. I said in every game, in the first quarter, every game, guess what? In every game, if y'all want to learn something, learn this. In every game, in the first quarter, there's an alpha and a beta decided in that game. I ain't saying in the season, but for that game, usually in the first quarter, teams are going to decide who's going to be the alpha and who's going to be the beta in this football game. And if you don't become the alpha team in the first quarter, it's very hard to gain that back in the second and third, fourth quarter because teams already got it from you, and it's hard to get it back. Now, you may get it the next game because you might start off and become the alpha to start with. But it's hard to gain that alpha back after that first quarter. That's why in the first quarter, you want to be aggressive. You want to gather a physical presence. That's why I hate teams that come out and they say, oh, well, we're just going to throw the ball around in the first quarter and allow the other team to be the alpha. Because the alpha team is going to get the calls. Yeah. They're going to get the benefit of the doubt. The officials are going to know who the alpha is. I've had officials tell me that they, hey, coach, their team is just more physical than you. And I'm crying about a call. I'm crying about a holding call on their offense. And he just told me point blank, he said, coach, they're more physical than you. You know what he told me? It may look like they're holding, but they're just dominating you. And I've been on the other side with my teams, or when I played, we were more physical and we got away with more because we set the tone of physicality. We became the alpha at the beginning of the game, and we got judged like we was the alpha. The beta get judged like he's the beta. That's why you have to start a physical dominance early on. That's why always the first play is always the most important play. You got to come out and decide, because when a unit decides, they decide, listen, man, players are human. Players know when guys are working them down. They know it. Now, they may not do it all year, but they know it. So two things you don't want a team to get when you're watching a team. You say, what's that, coach? What's the two things? Two things you don't want to happen when you watching the game. Two things you don't want to happen when you're watching the game. When you're coaching the game. What do y'all think is the two worst things in coaching that a head coach don't want to see? Yeah. And our special teams was, okay, I saw this, and every time I see something, I want to put it out there on the screen. My man has been making a lot of great comments. Sometimes but he's been, listen, thank you so much, sir, for being in this chat. You make some great comments, and we don't always agree, but you make some great comments, right? Script fumbles on kickoff, right? Somebody talked about this a couple of weeks ago. They said about the special teams need to be better. Yes, the special team need to be better. But our special team you ain't gonna get these strip fumbles. You ain't gonna get none of this. If your defense is not as physical, I can guarantee your special teams ain't gonna be physical. And special team is a product of two things. What do you think the two things that makes up the great special team? One is physicality. I already said that. The other is discipline. You got to be physical and disciplined. Physical and playing fast, and discipline. Because penalties on special teams are killers. I hate when we get a ball. Y'all ever seen a game when they put the ball to us and the damn ball is we gonna catch a fair catch and we get a penalty on a fair catch and now we catch the fair catch, we got back up another 10 yards? That's that's irresponsible. Or we get a good return and we got to bring it back. Or we go down and we do something stupid and we get a penalty and we get them more yards. Penalties on special teams is dumb because most times you watch them, you ain't had to do that. Sometimes you get penalties on special teams because you ain't physical enough and you let the guy dominate you and you playing catch up because he already dominated you. So if you want to have good special teams, have smart players. If you got smart players, they're gonna play discipline. But you gotta be physical. Special teams is a microcosm of your defense. If your defense is finesse and soft, your special team is gonna be. You're not gonna get strip fumbles. You're not gonna get block punts. All of those roughing the kicker is discipline. Non-disciplined, soft team defenses have these deficiencies. So that when people tell you defense win championships, defense have way more effect to the game than offense. It can win games way more different ways than offense. Offense win in one way, scoring. Defense can stop you. If you want to score, we can't win. They can't win. Defense can stop you from scoring all game and then score a touchdown and win the game. Yeah. They can block a punt, which is the defense. Script the kicker on the kickoff return and cover and run in a touchdown, which is a defensive play because you covering the kick. When people say defense win championship, because there's more ways that defense can dominate the game than offense. So that is right. So again, these are the things they talk about behind closed doors. This is what you learn in Coach Marv Real Talk. We're gonna be honest about certain situations. We're gonna talk about how life is a microcosm of sports. We're gonna talk about the Cowboys. But when I talk about these things, it all feeds back into what I started this show about. You gotta be physically, you gotta be strong mentally in this game, football game, in this world. If you ain't listen, I talk about physicality on defense and how that wins games and how that wins. It's the same thing in life. You gotta be mentally tough. You gotta be mentally tough in your grind. You gotta be disciplined, right? And smart. People who smart, they carry more discipline. You gotta be tough minded to get through. You do all those things, your chances of being good in this life gets better. If you're a weak-minded person and can't take adversity, you ain't got no discipline, and you act like you have no smarts. If you have no smarts, you start doing erratic things, you struggle. When I used to coach my players, I used to tell them the things we teach you on the football field that's going to make you successful here, probably going to be some of the same lessons that you're going to need in life. And you're going to do those things on my field and playing under me. Now, what you do otherwise out of others, when you grow up or whatever, or you start doing, I hope not. But as when you on this field, playing under me or under my unit, my offensive line, defensive line group, or when I coach defense, or when I was head, were you under me? You're gonna do those things. Now, did we win championships? No, and some people talk about talent, but I guarantee you, I made better men. And that's what it's all about. Got one other thing to show. We talked about that. One other thing to show before I get off this. I said I wasn't gonna go 2 hours, but I like talking with y'all. Y'all all right. Y'all good people. Let's go back to my Twitter page. Go right back to the Twitter page. It was something else I wanted to show you. My guy made and I need to go find it, but this is my guy right here, man. JC Cowboy. Me and him used to talk a lot, man. JC Cowboy, man, does great film work. He just got out. He's gotten out of being the Dallas Cowboy content creator guy, but he does great film work, man. He is outstanding, man, and a very good guy, man. If you're not subscribed to JC Cowboy Network, go check his network out, man. He did a breakdown of the cornerback that was drafted by the Dallas. I think he's a good pickup. Has some injury problems, but if he's healthy, we are all right. That's going because we got to be here. You can't make the club in the tub. And you can't make us better if you don't get in there and we get some cohesions together, man. We got to be in there battling and going on. Somebody made a question about I think somebody made a question about the talent about Will McClay. I want to show you something. I'm gonna get back to that post. This is a post. This is the post right here. And once I get to it, I'm watching this, so I'll show y'all when I get to the post. But this is the post I had right here. And this post right here is I posted this when Todd Archer did, and I think a lot of y'all don't understand this. When players play, wherever they're drafted at, if they're drafted undrafted free agent, they drafted in third, fourth, fifth, sixth round or whatever. If they get more playing time, because they put a basis of how much playing time they got to get based off where they got drafted. So if they're an undrafted free agent and they get drafted, they're undrafted free agent and they start games and they get a lot of playing time. The NFL, what they do is they give them performance-based pay bonuses. The NFL gives, so they take a player like Shamir James, who was a late round draft pick, but he started some games and got a lot of playing time. So this year he got $764,000 of a base bonus at the end of the year based off his playing status of when he played based off when he was drafted. When this is why I talk about this. We are always one of the leading teams that having guys that are drafted down the level or guys that are undrafted free agents that make our team that become very good contributors to our team. We think everybody's supposed to be stars, but these guys make great contributions and they get paid well with these bonuses because they're putting in a lot of work and they're getting a lot of good work and they're playing a lot of minutes. This is a credit to your scouting staff. Everybody knows who's first and second round picks going to be. But when you can get undrafted free agents and they start playing well on your team and they make your team and they are big time contributors on your team, and you get a lot of those guys every year, your scouting department doing some hell of a damn job. Because you love them as a Cowboy, as a franchise, because you get almost 6 years out of them. You said, well, coach, wait a minute, how you get 6 years out of a guy that got 4-year contracts? Because guys that's undrafted free agents, when their contracts runs out by the 4 years, you can put a tenure on. That's all you got to do is put a tenure. That pays them, they get a raise. But if a team go come and sign them, you get a chance at first refusal. Plus, they got to give you a draft pick. So when you get guys that's like that like that way down the list, like Reddy Stewart. If he comes along and gets better, man, you got him as an undrafted free agent. Brock Hoffman, which he done moved on, but he was an undrafted. Ryan Fournier, he's an undrafted free agent. All these guys you're gonna be able to tender, you probably at least keep 5 years. Brad stepping forward, the tight end, whoa, his blocking ability is crazy. James Houston, he had 5 sacks for you. Maris, y'all talk about these guys are, listen, man, it's not this good labor cheap. The NFL, do y'all understand that 75% of your NFL is made up of guys from 4th round on down? Let me say that again. Almost 80% of the rosters are made up of guys that are drafted from the 4th round on down and undrafted free agents. That makes up your roster. Your roster is not made up of all 1st and 2nd round picks. So these guys are very good. There's only, you know how many players that come out in the draft? There's only 250 something get drafted. Only 300 that get drafted. You got thousands of players that come out. So that's why you get guys like Brevin Stanford. If 9 people was drafted, they had a draft over, some people would have drafted him. They wouldn't let him get an undrafted free agent. They wouldn't let James Houston become an undrafted free agent. They wouldn't let Brock Hoffman become an undrafted free agent. They wouldn't let TJ Bass become an undrafted free agent and start some games with the Cowboys. So when you find these players and you go out and get them, your scouting staff is finding the guys in the weeds. And that's what makes up your team. Y'all can talk trash about Terrence Steele, but Terrence Steele been a hell of a damn tackle to get drafted, to be an undrafted free agent. And the Cowboys been doing this forever. What's the receiver back in the day? The guy was a great receiver for us. God, he was undrafted. He was an undrafted free agent. They paid him a lot of money back. He paid with Tony Romo. I forgot what the other guy was. But hell, Tony Romo was an undrafted free agent. Now, it hurts you when you get quarterbacks that's less than 4th round and undrafted free agent, because once they become your franchise, yeah, you could tender them at the beginning, but when you start having to pay them their big contracts, there is no money to carry forward from their old contract. See, that's why it's easier to sign first and second, 1st round guys to extension, because all thing you got to do is guarantee the last half of their rookie contract and then add some on. When these undrafted free agents and 5th and 6th round picks, there is no money to push forward. Some of these undrafted free agents got over 3/3 of their money that they will make in their 4 years there in bonus money. So this is good bonus money, man, to get a check for 764,000, 728,000. Yeah. So you playing, you like, hey man, you're outplaying your draft stat, your status of what you came in as. So when you outplay that, guess what? The NFL says, hey, we're not gonna let the NFL just get over on you and not pay you. And you was one name you played and you was starting for us. We're gonna give you a bonus because you were starting for us. Now, who's paying the bonus? The team is paying the bonus. Guess what else goes along? Guess what else happens? Anybody else can get something? It's something about the salary cap. This gets counted on your salary cap. Yes, it does. Yep. Now, you can move this portion right here to next year. It don't count for this year, but they move it to next year. So that's why they can't just spend every bit of the cap money. They got to leave some money over, because you got to have some cap money for incidentals. If a guy get hurt, you got to go out and sign somebody. So you got to leave yourself about, most teams want to leave themselves about between $4 or $5 million at least. Most people want to leave $10 million left of cap money so you can cover some or try to take some cap money into next year so you can cover some of these incidentals because you're gonna have these type things. As along with bonuses. Y'all hear incentive is on contract. So if the player meet the incentive, that got to go towards the salary cap. So if you have a incentive that said we made the playoffs, I get $500,000. Okay, you know y'all heard contracts with players have incentives, right? Okay. When a player have incentives, some incentives are makeable. The NFL may judge that that's easy to make. So if it's easy to make, they make you count that into their salary cap money already, even though they might not make it, but they say, hey, you got to count that at the beginning because that's easy. That's like if I'm Dak Prescott and one of my incentives, if I throw the ball 50 times in a year, I get 500,000. So when they say, hey, now that's not an incentive, we got to go ahead and count that $500,000 already. Because he's gonna make that. We know he's gonna make that. He's been doing that. He's been throwing. If you've been doing that same incentive more than 2 or 3 years, guess what? They say you got to count that. But now if you gave incentive, say if you win the Super Bowl, we give you $5 million if you win the Super Bowl. They don't count that right off the bat. But if you win the Super Bowl, now you got to count that towards the cap, and they'll count that for next year. They won't count that for the bat because they say that Super Bowl that may not be made. That's a hard thing. But anything that you have been doing in previous years over and over, they're gonna consider that being a incentive that you can get. So they count against the cap. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with that capology type stuff that we don't get. We don't. Uh, I talked about trade earlier. If y'all watching me, I said this idea. I don't think right now we should trade at all. I think we should go into camp. We got the 90 minutes. I think we need to go in here and let these guys roll. I talked about a trade that I thought that we would do, and I thought this trade would be even better than this trade right here would probably been much better, been much cheaper, and your production from this guy based off this defense would have been outstanding. And this is this guy right here, Alex Highsmith. Alex Highsmith had just as many sacks than the guy from the Raiders that we passed on, and he had 300 less snaps. And this guy right here is productive every year. Go check him out. This guy is a dog, and he would have fit a 3-4 defense. This guy's a dog, but I don't think they want to stunt the growth of Izaraku. And the reason why I say they could have went and got this guy, and they could have went and got him for this round, because he was at the end of his contract in Pittsburgh, and I don't know if they restructured his deal or not, but his contract was in the same type of contract as Gary was with Green Bay. Your guaranteed money is gone. Your cap hit is high. If they're gonna give you extension, that could bring your cap hit down. But you've been with the team long enough, too long. Plus, they got your replacement. They might want to move on. They still might move on from Highsmith because they got another guy that's getting a lot of time. And I thought if they wanted to move on, we could have slid in there and gave them a couple of picks, slid in there and got him, renegotiated his contract like we did what name, and we would have had 2 dogs out there. But I don't think they wanted to. I think they really think Izaraku, and they really like the guys they got playing outside linebacker. And I think they really going, and those guys are what we call edges for them. Remember, we're in the 3-4 defense. Everybody keep talking about edge rushers. Outside linebackers are their edge rushers. And he would have fit the bill of the edge rushers. That's why I was talking about going to get him. No other reason. So let's look at some of y'all stuff, man. Yeah, somebody said about this. Yeah, we struck gold with TJ Bass. Yeah, very good. I don't think he's a long-term starter, but he's a very good guy to come in and do some stuff. Listen, I seen somebody say about the offensive line. Man, our offensive line is so deep and so talented. Uh, y'all, I think we just get caught up in stuff. Our offensive line, I'm not going with PFF stat, but our offensive line graded as sixth best offensive line in the NFL. And that's where your rookie great guard being out 4 games. That's what BB being out, 4 games. Your center, your good center being out 4 games. That's what Tyler Smith missing a game. That's what your left tackle missing 4, 5, 6 games. And his backup, the guy that came in his first year, you had 2 guys, 3 guys on there. It's 4 guys on our offensive line. They ain't played 17 games yet. Hadn't played 17 NFL games yet. And your quarterback was in the MVP race, and your running back ran for 1,300 yards with 12 touchdowns. Yes, we were not the most. We had a lot of hiccups. We weren't the smoothest offensive line, but you can't do all that without having a good offensive line. And then you had injuries and still kept a level. That means you're deep and you're very talented. So, and you're young. So, I don't think y'all understand what y'all have with an offensive line. Let's see if it's some more interesting other here. Yeah, but I don't think a lot of people understand that the makeup of these rosters. There's a lot of guys that's undrafted free agents make team. Now, when you're an undrafted free agent, you make a NFL team that puts you behind the 8 ball though. It's hard to make that money then. So where you come in at is going to be kind of the judge of how you make the money. Yep, same thing. Yep, coach. They're not gonna make. They're not. They're not gonna listen. That's right. The officials know who the more aggressive teams are. They already know, and they know the teams that's backing off and that's being shied away from the contact and not physical. Refs don't give them the calls. They don't, and they'll come and tell their coaches, like, man, coach, they get dominated. They're being honest. And at the beginning of the game, I say this always on live stream. I said this on our live stream. We work together. I said, listen, at the beginning of the game, there's an alpha and a beta made every game. I ain't saying that's for the 2 or 3 games, but for that game. And once you lose that alpha position after the first quarter, it's hard to get it back because you allow the guy to get confidence and think he the guy now. You allow a team to feel confidence that they feel like they're aggressive. It's hard to get it back. That's why you need to establish that you can maintain it. Now, good will teams, strong will teams that can impose their will, they can get you thinking you got it, and they can take it back. But those are the veteran teams. Those are the savvy, strong will teams. Hey, I thank you all for a lot of people who's been in this chat, man. Again, if you want to support the channel, this is how you support the channel. This is how you support the channel. This is how you can get out. You can support the channel and and we can get some other things done. The thing I really need now is with the support of the channel is trying to get these t-shirts out. That first t-shirt you saw there, is going to be minus the Coach Marv talking. It's going to be that we are going to do the defense is a weapon in Dallas. I hope when I do a short of this a short of this. That message to Christian Parker is in my short. I hope that the algorithms of this thing edited part that message I was trying to get to Christian Parker. If it's there, I'm gonna cut that out and put it in and repost that part. If it's the whole soliloquy about me getting that message to Krista Parker, I hope it is, because that's the mentality we need here. I hope that when I'm doing as we talked about when I first talked about the temperament of this country, I hope that says something to some people, that this situation that's going on in New York is just a microcosm of what's going on. I hope that we and this Cowboy team we can avoid those type of distractions, because there's so many distractions. But for teams this year, for teams now, for NFL teams, NBA teams, sports teams alone, we are in a temperament of this country and this world that is hard to keep units together without letting the seep of individuality come in. But I hope we can do that. And I've said how we need to do that. This is Schottenheimer's job. Great leaders of men promotes, as I want to put on one or two, great leaders of men promote confidence, not fear. They also promote unity, not separate selfishness. No, it promotes communication. All the things is good. Great leaders of men, that's what they promote. And this is a job of Schottenheimer how to be a great leader of men. Another thing I point on, and I just did a brief thing about that. Dak Prescott, it's not all on you. Winning MVP and just winning every game and having all the last second drive. No, you got to understand that you got to start putting the emphasis on everybody else. And I need a team that's going to say, we tired of y'all talking about that. Who else in that locker room? What other unit in that locker room said, this is championship is going to be on me? Until we get that, man, we going to struggle. I don't see MVP quarterbacks winning Super Bowls. The George Pickens thing, listen, I just don't want the distractions. And I would stand on that less distractions, you can have a little less talent and less distractions to be better. And I'm not saying that the person is a distraction. I'm not saying the person is a bad thing. I'm saying that the situation could be too distracting. And sometimes you have to eliminate that. Sometimes you got to eliminate the thing that might get you views and clicks to get you more victories in tight situations. A lot of y'all might not understand that. Some of y'all might disagree. But if you go back and look at things, if you really evaluate and see things and look at situations that we done had certain things like that, you'll see I know what I'm talking about. You don't see it, and you probably involved in some situations that have been that way. This is not no diss to nobody. This is not saying that nobody shouldn't get the money. But before I have loyalty to these guys, I'm a Cowboy fan. And I'm tired of waiting. And as the great Al Davis, you say win, baby. And everything else, that's the great fixer of all this stuff. As I always leave the show and tell you, man, no one or nothing can stop God's will. Even with all the stuff I talked about earlier in the show, the separatism and all this interacting and pitting each other against that, and everybody taking sides, God's will overveil. The map of hope will always equal out. And discernment of what's real and what's fake, what is right, what is wrong, what is together and what can separate us. Having the discerning spirit and praying on these things and meditating on these things is going to be the key of you going forward in your success. Your success in life, You're assessing these teams. You're assessing businesses. You're assessing TV shows. All that. A lot of different things, but the basic principles stay the same. Thank you for giving my therapy for me to come on here and talk. Thank you for all the people that has come into this chat. All the people who have sent in messages that I hope you support the channel. If you support the channel, if you're doing super chat, what name, if you send cash app, thank you, because all that's doing is going to uplift this show and get this show better, and we're going to even get better. But you're going to always, Coach Marv is always going to stay the same. We're going to be Coach Marv Real Talk, and we're going to talk about the stuff that's not being talked in front of the media, not being talked in the podiums, but it's going to be the real stuff that's going to be the success for us to get to 6. And then, by the way, hopefully we'll give you some stuff that's going to help you in success for your life. Until next time, I salute you. Have a great weekend. And as my dad used to say, if you ain't going to be right, be good. If you ain't going to be good,